Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, where we just accidentally cleaned up a demon infestation in the sewers. You know, that's fine. I feel fine about it. It's all right to kill off some demons or whatever. Not what we were here for. Kind of got distracted. But once you put me face to face with the demon, I mean, well, not necessarily. I was going to say things are going to go down, but like they don't have to. If the demon was willing to let me leave, I could bygones will be bygones with the demon here and there. This one was not in that kind of headspace, so. I will say, like, it is a little ridiculous. I know that they want to do RPG system stuff, but it is like profoundly ridiculous to have there be a big symbol of Tzeentch, the most common representation of Tzeentch, on the floor, and have your characters make a lore warp 90% test over it, right? If I, Sal Bones, who lives in the fucking real world, can tell that that's a symbol of Tzeentch, everybody in the Warhammer universe, everybody also has that one locked down. So I don't know exactly where we're coming up. We just like rode an elevator that we're not familiar with. Oh, it looks like some... Holy shit. I was gonna say some hot shit is going down here. Can I just say, that's a very fucking compelling rendition of some...
Arbitrators, secure perimeter, formation 4755. Glato, heal.
Some like good in-universe squad level, why are the forces of the Imperium scary type shit there. It's like the lockstep and the snap turns and stuff. Really, really well executed. I'm afraid of these dudes, and I wasn't afraid of the demon. A powerfully built man among the fighters quickly surveys the battlefield. His face, determined and impassive, recalls those seen on statues of heroes of the Imperium. His gaze remains trained on you as he raises an iron fist. And then he said that thing he said. The huge cyber mastiff immediately stops snarling in your direction and goes quiet at its master's foot, its stillness punctuated only by the thick globules of blood dripping from its metal fangs. So, okay, my impression is that this is kind of a newish thing, right? We didn't have these back when I was playing Warhammer 40k. Is this a robot that's made in the shape of a dog, or is it like a cyborg dog? Was it like a whole flesh and blood dog? Because the way I feel about it is going to be different based on which of those things is true.
Proctor Exactant Solomon Anthar of the Adeptus Arbates. State your name and the purpose of your stay on Rykad Minoris.
Fucking Proctor Exactant Solomon Anthar is an all-timer of a Space Marine name. I know this guy's not exactly a Space Marine, but like, right? That's right on there. His voice is calm and even, yet his finger remains firmly positioned on the trigger of his weapon. Motherfucker, that is not how you operate a weapon. State your name and the purpose of your stay. Yeah. Do I want to pull rank on this guy? I mean, I can pull rank on this guy. I'm trying not to be like that, though, right? I'm trying to represent that I don't think my rank makes me actually better than everybody else. And I can't be like that internally to the crew, but then every time we meet somebody right in front of them, be like, excuse me, I'm the rogue trader around here. Alright, I am Son von Valancius, successor to the recently deceased Theodora von Valancius. I don't... I don't like that there's no option where I like answer his question, but also put in that I'm a rogue trader, because she doesn't actually make mention here of the rogue trader thing, and she should. I guess hopefully he knows who Theodora von Valancius was. I've come to this world on personal business.
So, Theodora von Valancius is dead. I will deliver this tragic news to Marshal Strax.
Okay, good, he did.
I honor the pact your predecessor made with the Adeptus Arbates. I won't keep you any longer.
I'm going to compliment the dog, obviously, high priority. That is one fearsome-looking dog. I was impressed by its performance in battle. I mean, did you see the way it went around that dude's head?
That skirmish just now, Glato didn't even get to show off a tenth of what he is capable of. But he is quickly catching up with me for who's killed the most heretics today.
All right. What was the nature of this arrangement between the Arbates and Theodora? Because it sounds like I might want to continue it.
Your predecessor made a formal alliance with us. She provided us with a headquarters on Dargonis and supported us in the collection and guarding of the Imperial Tithe on several occasions. We, in turn, assisted Lady Theodora in enforcing the law on the worlds under her control.
Okay, so that's like there's a serious strategic alliance here. This is not just he's heard of us. Okay, well, what do you know about the situation on this planet?
Only that the governor is failing in his responsibilities. This is a planet-wide rebellion, and it reeks of madness, or worse, of witchcraft. The rebels are blinding both themselves and others, and their ravens are the most insane and unholy thing I've ever heard.
Weird that we can't bring up the lensing room. This would seem to be the time to bring up the lensing room. Okay, well, what do you intend to do?
Fight our way to the local administratum palace and ascertain whether a fire or some other disaster hasn't destroyed the documents related to the investigation. I hope the clerks were smart enough to put the records before their lives. If the Emperor favors us, we will extract the data we need, or else interrogate the survivors before we pay a visit to the governor. The questions we have for him are beginning to pile up.
The Cybermastiff lets out a low growl and leans forward somewhere to the side. Solomon fires a shot in the same direction without even looking. You hear a stifled, gurgling rattle. Oh, okay, now you're just showing off.
Arbitrators, eliminate the surviving rebels. Now is not the best time for conversations. With target practice standing around like this. Unless you have more questions, I will proceed with my assignments.
His intimation that the governor might be responsible or at the very least like negligent to the point of responsibility is not the first time that has crossed my mind. Hopefully at this point y'all know the level of paranoia I am working with here. I'm on the way to see the governor myself. You and your unit could accompany me.
I must refuse. Our mission and the Marshal's orders take priority, even over a request from an individual as empowered as you.
Okay, it's an awful lot of respect for the chain of command. Nobody's perfect. All right, I got no more questions.
May the Emperor watch over us. That way, this meeting won't be our last.
No, it sounds like we will probably have business together in the future. All right, so we just came out of that way. Are these are at least one of these corpses is lootable. The one he just shot. Serve the Emperor in your heart and deeds. Am I reading it? What am I looking at? It's not clear to me why I'm getting that response from looking at some floor tiles. Serve the Emperor in your heart and deeds when you join the ranks of his illustrious army, the Astra Militarum. It seems like the text that would be on a recruitment poster or something. Maybe it's supposed to be that. Anyway, let's go see what this guy's got. There's something over here that is pinging my attention.
The Arbitrator's arrival was certainly a welcome sight. Hopefully they will help to put things back in order around here.
Not happening, old man. All they care about is their tithe. Even if the Coronis expanse turned upside down, they wouldn't bat an eye.
Duty prevails.
I wonder,
The Emperor
of
favors
the
me today.
total experience we have earned so far this game,
Never
what
doubt.
percentage of it has come from disarming things? Clearly oblivious to your presence, the soldier mutters incoherently and does not react to anything around him, including me helping myself to his bag, which is full of profane blades and other things. So many litanies. Gosh, this man carries around a lot of litanies. Alright. Ugh.
Will endure.
I missed one, I guess. Okay, let's level up again. You know it's time. Okay, so here we're getting a talent and a characteristic. So this is the part where I could take heavy weapon proficiency, right? I'm not saying that this is a smart thing to do, but I am saying it would be neat if somebody could do this. And what if I turned into a weird heavy weapons commander? Reduces the required strength value for heavy weapons by 25, which would I think allow us to wield them? And then, point of ballistic skill probably makes sense to take at the same time. So before we go on to anybody else, where is that heavy gun that I had? That's a sniper rifle. Here it is. So instead of, say, this las gun, which is a perfectly fine weapon, no doubt, for ranged combat, we take this stolen autocannon. It doesn't really, for being a heavy weapon, it does not have the kind of damage output one would expect necessarily. And one thing that I'm not super clear on is, like, where is the rate of fire of a weapon listed? Let me get the full info pane. So it has 100 ammo, which is sick. Does 4 to 6 damage with 20% armor pen. Oh, rate of fire. Its rate of fire says right there. 8. Okay, 8. 8 with a recoil 50. Range 8 to 16. So like 4 to 6 damage versus 6 to 8, firing literally twice as many projectiles with 20% armor penetration but no dodge reduction. I don't know. It's not necessarily about like this weapon. It's about having someone in the squad who can use big guns like that. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good for her to have that then. All right, your deal. We get an ability here. Reckless Strike, 20 armor penetration, 8 damage, and ignores 15% of the target's parry. 8 is a lot of bonus damage for a strike. Every enemy who survives an attack enhanced by this ability will attack the warrior in return, including creatures with ranged weapons. Okay. Plus 8's pretty serious, though. You can have the warrior mark a target, gaining big armor and damage against it. If the target attacks the warrior during this round, the warrior gains +1 AP. This is pretty good. We don't tend to have fights where there is an enemy that stands up through like multiple turns of being the dude of focus. But this would certainly allow you to like have Abelard grab like the second in command in a fight and just like corner that dude and 1v1 him while the rest of you don't have to worry about him. Everybody focuses on something else. Next melee attack pushes the enemy away. The distance of the push is equal to 3 cells. That does not look to me like it is a real 3. It is a 1 plus half of your strength bonus. Or taunting scream. Everybody pays attention to you. I think there's definitely something interesting to be said for... Yeah, I'm going to pick up Forceful Strike just because it gives us a kind of utility that we don't currently have access to. And then again, like since we last did a level up, a whole lot of stuff has changed. So that patch really had a long sequence of notes under it, and I have no idea how much of this stuff is different now. When an Imperial World character is affected by an ally's non-damaging ability, their resolve is increased by 1 for 1 round. All allies in the current party gain +5 to the same characteristic as was chosen for Humanity's Finest, which in your case is... I'd have to... Boy, it should just have that in a parentheses, right? Allies with the braced effect or affected by the other non-attacking archetype abilities gain dodge. That's okay. When the Navy officer scores a critical hit or successfully parries an attack with their primary melee weapon, they immediately make an attack with their secondary weapon. That's pretty rad. I do think I like fleet combat training quite a bit. Alright, we're going to level up Operative now. Whenever an operative hits an enemy that is afflicted by both an exploit and exposed weakness, they lose 3 MP and their damage is reduced. That's cool. 9% less damage from enemies affected by exploits. That should be basically every enemy after a certain point, right? If an enemy is affected by, or if an enemy affected by an exploit within 5 cells attacks the operative or their ally, they suffer an exploit. If the operative is not moved, they deal 2 more damage with single shot attacks for every 5 cells between them and them and the target, and they gain 5 ballistic skill. We usually have to move to get the shot we want, but that is interesting. The first dodge attempt of every enemy in combat suffers a -14% penalty. You know, I'm not a big fan of, like, these small works only once per enemy type effects in a lot of cases. But this one in particular, which helps you secure kills early in the fight, is kind of compelling. And there's something to be said for, like, a completely passive skill that just works, right? Where you don't have to spend actions, you don't have to contort yourself, you don't have to remember the optimal situation. It's just like, you have a thing and it just does the thing. Enemies that have taken damage to the Psyker at least once are bad at resistance tests against the Psyker. Enemies that have failed a willpower test suffer 6 direct damage every time they suffer mental damage. I don't think we have enough sources of mental damage for that to be exciting. Especially when you think about, you know, like how dicey it gets to do damage via the warp and how quickly. Whenever the Psyker kills an enemy with a psychic power dealing more damage than the target's wounds, the excess damage gets overflowed. That's all right. After every 6th use of a psychic power by the Psyker, all enemies gain a stacking -5 penalty to all characteristics. That's really cool, except that I don't feel safe using anywhere near that number of psychic powers in a combat. Yeah, I kind of think... usage of a heroic act by the Psyker decreases veil degradation. You can learn to enforce reality. Whenever the Psyker uses a damaging psychic power on targets that are 6 cells or further away, the targets suffer an additional 3 damage. That's going to be basically always. I do like extra damage. So I think we've seen a handful of compelling ones here. Ooh, every time Perils of the Warp happens, it increases your momentum by 11 points. I don't think I want to push into Perils of the Void range on purpose. I do like an extra 3 damage from this, but I think I'm going to stick with, what was it? Predicted downfall, yeah. And then a skill up, it turns out, you know, nobody's enough of an expert on Xenos. We're still failing remarkably easy checks. Soldier immediately spends all their AP and MP to gain a bonus to cover efficiency. The next time they run and gun, they get back all the spent AP and MP plus 1 additional AP. Also resets the cooldown of all the soldiers' abilities, except, of course, for run and gun. That's interesting. So you could move in 1 turn, dig in, and then call that stuff back up afterward. Like, you could shoot and then run and gun and get back additional AP and MP for finding the next shot. Or rapid fire, which kind of doesn't seem very good, honestly. I think I do want entrench. And you're not the best at anything. Let's maybe go back up athletics, because it'll put you at 50 athletics. The next person is at 35. And I get a little worried about what happens if we lose Abelard, or if I want to trade Abelard out, because, like, a lot of our party members have some pretty exciting stuff going on. And I believe that if not that guy, I believe we are allowed to get some Arbites dog guy. And I might want one. I might want to use him, so. All right, a talent for our, what's his name? A talent for our Mechanicus dude. Whenever you trigger an exploit, I mean, a lot of these are going to be similar to what we're seeing from What's-Her-Face, but apparently not all of them. Ballistics calculation gives you a 15% bonus on attacks from 12 cells or farther. With your lasgun, obviously, that is absolutely doable, but like a lot of whether or not this is actually doable in combat is just going to come down to the positioning of the enemies versus like the walls and stuff in their environment. While you're in partial cover, your cover efficiency is increased, and it's doubled if you've not moved this turn. That's actually kind of handy. Yeah, some of these are, again, pretty familiar. Forge World characters can use persuasion, coercion, and commerce based on intelligence instead of fellowship. We've seen that before. You're not really a heavy armor wearer. Plus 10 to ballistic skill with plasma and melta weapons. That is probably pretty compelling once we have some plasma or melta weapons. Effects of the exposed weakness ability gain bonuses against enemies under the machine. The effects of machine spirit communion. Okay, that's kind of cool. I feel like if you're stacking debuffs like that on an enemy, you're probably getting them. We may not need to dig in on that process anymore. Yeah, we got to get you like a good melta gun. 20% dodge reduction and parry reduction. If an enemy dodges or parries his attack, this bonus is doubled for the next melee attack against this enemy. I mean, that's not horrible. Arachnoid Dragnet. Area attacks with a webber create a webbed area. Any creature that enters that area, okay, can become slowed. That's not really what we're looking for here. I might take prediction protocols. I do have a tendency to run Pascal up at the enemies, sometimes just kind of into the open almost. Let's work on your awareness. And then finally, Kibella. Blade Dancer immediately returns to the cell where they started their turn. If the Blade Dancer used Death from above, this movement repeats all uses of the ability in reverse. That's pretty fun. 10 wounds is a cost. Attacks made by the Blade Dancer against enemies who have already attacked an ally of your choice gain bonus crit. This doesn't seem all that good. Okay, this also costs 10 wounds. Targets a single enemy vowing to dispatch their mark. The Blade Dancer's next attack cannot be dodged or parried. If it kills, the Blade Dancer regains more than they lost, and an AP and an additional attack. It's not horrible. Blade Dancer faces a side of their choice that immediately ends their turn. Until the beginning of the Blade Dancer's next turn, they dodge all area attacks without moving, are immune to all types of force movement, and gain 20% parry against attacks from that side. It can now parry attacks made against adjacent allies. So there's some team play here, but I do think, yeah, I think it's got to be Veil of Blades. And then even more. Even more, read everything. Each attack increases the damage of all subsequent attacks by 5%. Area attacks, burst attacks, and others that deal multiple hits are considered single attacks. That's pretty good still. Like, yeah. I probably should spend more time reading things, but, you know. Did I get you? Are you all set? Yeah, you're all set. Okay. And then I was going to give somebody the, we got to do some weapon training here. This is not the right button. All right, Abelard's offhanding the stub carbine. He's usually closer to people, and that gun does a lot of damage. You're also wielding a stub carbine for the same reasons. I guess Kibella could take the Ritobi pattern lasgun. It's just better than the one that she currently has. Well, it's not quite better. It doesn't have the same armor pen, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna leave their gear alone.
Follow my lead.
So I don't exactly know where I'm going here. Some 10 people, children among them, are huddling together in fear. You see that half of them have black holes where their eyes used to be. Some maintain a gloomy silence. Others are wailing. Several armed insurgents are carefully watching over the terrified hostages, snapping every now and then at someone at someone shaking too much or crying too loudly. Yeah, very, very reasonable and grown-up way of behaving. Come to your senses, Harold. Look at what you're doing to your own family. A woman of about 60, gray-haired but still strong, is kneeling before a stocky man with a thick, pure white beard, stretching her arms toward him. Take pity on us, please. Let us go. Stop talking and embrace redemption. Our children have gained true sight, while you still believe the lie. Upon seeing you, the man points his weapon at you. The other insurgents do the same. Who are you and why are you here? No, you know what? You tell me. Who are you and what are you doing to these people? Well, I'm the chief. My former name, Ereld, is meaningless now. I am a father leading his family to deliverance from woes, to salvation. Aurora has opened my eyes to the truth, and my children will see it. Harold, spare us! Spare your children! Pascal's Vox hisses furiously. Layperson, cognition is not your primary function. You are saving your kin by holding them at gunpoint and believe that burning their eyes will grant them sight. It is evident that the author of the demagogic teaching that confused you meant to make a mockery of your deplorable intellect. Abelard's face turns a deep red. To cast your own children into the thrall of heresy. To drown your progeny in this filth with your own hands. I remember when the vizier used to sew our eyes shut so that his young spinners would see the truth. Cubella's voice sounds hollow, but there are glowing embers of fury in her eyes. Our ritual was one of service to him. It tempered and prepared us for our duty. What you are working here is despicable heresy, a blasphemous mockery of our sacred disciplines. Well, I mean, we already have the the pieces to go for the logic check, so I guess let's just hit it. You've been torturing your own family in order to save them? You've been blinding them so that they could see the truth? Well, those who lack faith cannot grasp the truth and will not be saved. The old man is obstinate, but you sense that the confidence in his voice has diminished. So we can keep demolishing him with facts and reason here. What good has the final dawn done for anyone at all? Or Aurora, whoever that is, has exploited your naivete. I think I want to couch this in terms of his concern for his people. But they said the end was near. They promised salvation. I wanted nothing else. The man's weapon falls from his hands to the ground. He clutches his head. There's no washing the blood from your hands, but you could at least let us go, Areld, the ones you haven't mutilated yet. The old man gestures to the other insurgents, who lower their weapons. Then he shifts his gaze to you, trying to hold back tears. What happens to us now? Well, dogmatic is just to immediately execute him on the spot. You'd say your family may go, and so may you, but make sure I do not ever see you again. I do wonder, I'm not a big fan of, directly punitive stuff in court, personally punitive. But I do worry that leaving this guy alive does pose a risk to people in the future. If he was able to, sort of bullshit his way into control of these people now. You know what? Because this is marked as the dogmatic action, I'm not going to do it, even though I do sort of think it might be what I would do. Well, what does the character do? What is Yeah, I'm going to go iconoclast here. Your family may go, and so may you, but make sure I do not ever see you again. The hostages begin to leave, and soon the group disappears around one of the bends. The old man looks away from them and walks in the opposite direction. His shoulders shake with sobs every now and then. We're very trusting that this is going to resolve things. Join up at your hive's nearest Astra-Military Mobile Conscription Center. Again, just maybe snippets of things we're remembering, hearing vaguely from, the before times that we're now sort of relating to the situation.
Halt! I noticed something.
Indeed.
Duty prevails.
Sure are a lot of traps everywhere. The cover was haphazardly assembled from whatever the rebels could find. Yeah, stuff's just sort of... Okay, that's not anything. I kind of thought it was a canopy for an elevator entrance at first, but no.
Victory awaits.
Okay, well, the camera can't go this way any further, so I reckon we have seen a dead end here. You know what? I do need to go deal with something.
Attention to
Something of
detail is
interest.
the key to success.
Something in meat space here real quick, so I may want to...
The Emperor favors me today.
Okay, this goods bag that we're seeing is like all the way down there. Okay, Control A and continue to look around.
I won't tolerate weakness.
All right, hold on just a second. I gotta take care of something. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that brief discontinuity. Let us continue, shall we? I think this is the direction. No, this is to the eastern. This is the direction we came from. Onward. Very easy to get turned around in these massive spaces where everything kind of looks similar. Let's check out this corner over here. Okay, that'll let us into the command center. This way does not appear particularly interested in letting us into anywhere. There is, however, a small bag full of just kind of crap over here. All right. I'm comfortable with this door then.
A new challenge for me.
Usually, before combat, you have a tactical phase where you're able to advantageously position your characters, but not if you get ambushed. Idira can help you predict some ambushes. Also, you can absolutely know an ambush is coming with your entire brain, but if the characters don't decide to know that, then what are you going to do about it? Alright, so we've made it inside. There is an Adeptus Mechanicus Acolyte up here.
I'm listening.
Send Pascal up. Oh, I'm not allowed to climb.
Request.
Never mind, not allowed to climb that ladder. The formidable shells for large caliber weapons are being stored right in the command center. Yep, those are pretty large caliber, all right.
None shall stand in my way.
How are y'all doing? Okay, they apparently feel we are cool to be let in.
They're scrabbling around, digging into my skull from the inside. Ah, it's like nails dragging down these metal walls.
I
Okay.
have conducted a visual survey of the locale. The bunker's metal cladding is fully intact and undamaged.
Yeah, but it seems like that might not be the only possible problem. Trying to talk to people here. Nobody really has anything to say. Alright. These heavy chains are used to adjust the height of the command platform. Alright, y'all.
Follow my lead.
Everybody up on the stairs together. If we get ambushed, let's be ready. Okay, we get no voice for this character. The tall, dark-skinned man turns toward you and greets you in a curt military manner. Faisal Rekadi Ab Medina of Kurodis, governor of this star system. Welcome to my temporary headquarters. The man's gaze falls on Abelard, his eyes slightly narrow. Versarian. Abelard nods dryly. Governor Medina, my greetings. They have a history. Then the governor notices Kibella's clothes and his eyes go wide. He adds, softly and cautiously, "This woman, she is your bodyguard, I presume. Or is she here too?" He stops, choosing not to finish his question. "I'm not seeing the convoy I'd sent to meet you. What happened? Did they fail to find you? Did they fail to find and escort you? If that is so, I promise you their punishment will be swift and severe." Well, actually bad news. Your convoy was ambushed and massacred. The only surviving soldier turned out to be a traitor and was personally executed by me. That's a weird way to put it, because like the thing about that person is they were certainly not a soldier, right? They were wearing a stolen outfit. "Oh, that is an outrage. I'll have the personnel vetting procedure changed immediately. The slightest suspicion will be grounds for arrest." Yeah, that's going to make things better. "Your ladyship, before we proceed with discussing the matters that are of interest to you, there is a question I feel compelled to ask. It was only recently that Lady Theodora was the head of House von Valancius. I have received no word of her demise. How is it that you are now the rogue traitor?" Oh no, she's dead. She's so dead. I should be the one asking that question. Well, you know what? Let's just go ahead and connect our suffering to your suffering in order to create greater trust between us. My esteemed predecessor died at the hands of cultists. May the Emperor incinerate their souls. This is at least partially performance, because our character would never, in earnest, be like, Emperor, take them. The governor frowns, and a deep shadow falls over his face. "Rogue traitor von Valancius, slain! Unthinkable. Please accept my deepest and most sincere condolences, your ladyship. Do not hesitate to let me know how I might be of help." Well, I do need fresh crew to replace those killed in the attack on the ship, and I need material compensation. I am a little concerned about saying that here, given the situation, but it is also true, like, it does need to get done. The governor bows his head in acceptance. "Well, of course, your ladyship. You'll be compensated for any losses, and I'll see to it personally that your ship's holds are filled with the finest goods from my personal reserves." Okay, we gained 2 profit factor. That's probably really important. Abelard nods in approval and remarks quietly, "Excellent, your ladyship. A rogue trader has no use for leniency." Okay, this wasn't about leniency. "I can offer you several thousand fine, obedient servants. However, I'm sad to inform you I won't be able to do it until we've dealt with the insurgency on this planet. I'm sure you won't have to wait long. The rabble will soon be duly punished for their heretical scheming." Are you sure? Are you so confident? Is there anything else I can do while I wait for the end of the revolt? "I wish to commend the courage of one of your officers. My kinsman Konrad Voigtvir has betrayed your dynasty." I mean, we should probably bring up Konrad. Like, Konrad's name needs to be known far and wide. All right, well, my kinsman Konrad Voigtvir von Valancius has betrayed our dynasty and the Imperium. If he is hiding in this system, I want him handed over. "Voigtvir is a traitor. Why, any family, however noble, has an unworthy scion or two. Naturally, we will surrender him should we find him within my jurisdiction. Unfortunately, I have no information regarding his location. However," the governor pauses to think, "we have a cogitator here at the command center. It's connected to a data crypt from Logis Abel's sanctum. It aggregated all the Lex Mechanic reports. Unfortunately, the access prayer for it is unknown to me. If you manage to convince the stubborn machine, you might learn something about Konrad's movements. I'd hazard he fled from you on a ship, not on a pair of wings. That would make some sense. Heinrich von Kalox, an interrogator of the Most Holy Inquisition, is operating in your system. You have any idea where he is, by any chance?" The governor lowers his voice. "I do. Master von Kalox has left for the hallowed electrodynamic cenobium. It's an ancient monastery of the Adeptus Mechanicus. I don't know what his objectives are, but needless to say, insurgent activity has been observed in the monastery's vicinity. But I suppose that's too petty of a problem for an agent of the most holy Inquisition. Besides, I've already sent a small detachment of reinforcements there. How many men did you have? The weapon the insurgents were using to shoot down shuttles over the city has been destroyed. Now nothing is preventing you from returning to your ship. If you wish to find Master Van Kalax, you should go to the cenobium of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Notes of anxiety creep into the voice that rattles from Pascal's vox. On behalf of the priesthood of Mars, I, Magos Hanuman, am officially initiating my participation in the operation. I must inspect the state of the relic and assure myself that it is under zero risk of falling into heretic hands. According to the Catechism of Maintenance and Operation, my tech comrades were supposed to lock the monastery gates against laypeople and activate the traps. I deem it optimal that an ordained Magos should provide his assistance. I categorically object. The governor clenches his fist. As much as I respect the sanctity of your monastery, I have on my hands a whole capital that needs to be attended by the Omnissiah's servants. We have lost many eminent tech priests. Incidentally, one of them perished in that same monastery. Mechanical failures could occur at any moment. Putting it bluntly, you may consider yourself forcibly recruited into the city's defense forces. Medina and Pascal glare at each other, their unyielding gazes like crossed swords. So the chain of command seems a little wiggly out here, maybe not quite as strictly maintained as it is in other spots. I'm not sure exactly. I think that I do not outrank him in the sense that I'm, not in their official chain of command at all, but we might still try to bully him. You've picked an interesting time to quarrel with a servant of the Omnissiah. This Magos is part of my revenue, and you have no right to give him orders. Side with the governor. I don't like side with the governor very much. You have picked an interesting time to quarrel with a servant of the Omnissiah, Governor. But a critical situation calls for decisive action. I simply cannot let every learned tech priest go to their death the moment they hear about an endangered relic. I need people who can do more than praise the Omnissiah to look after the capital and its millions of citizens. Okay, I feel like I got there. That's a pretty good answer. Well, this Magos is part of my retinue, and you have no right to give him orders. How about that? You mistake me for a fool. I know that he arrived separately from you, and I would bet my life that no... Oh, you know that, do you? Pascal's got something to say. Oh, he's going to say it real hard, it looks like. The governor's voice dies down in the low growl of a drilling mechadendrite. Its tip is directed straight at the bridge of his nose. Medina clears his throat and grumbles stubbornly. So, this is the negotiation technique that you have resorted to. Do you think this is the first time I've been threatened with a weapon? No, but this could be your last. Pascal's voice is akin to the sound produced by his drilling implement. Steady and calm, but ready to explode at a moment's notice with the crunching of bone and the squelching of tearing flesh. I am heading to the monastery because I must. Is that clear? The governor mutters through gritted teeth. Abundantly so, Magos. I'm just going to point blank him. So why are you so determined to get to the monastery anyway? Is it just because of the relic? It is why I came to this world. I am expected there. Well, I mean, it would be my pleasure to assist the Omnissiah's servant in reaching the sanctum. Sounds like the kind of place we ought to get familiar with anyway. Thank you for your cooperation, your ladyship. The drill stops. As compensation for your consideration of my request, I, Magos Hanuman, officially undertake to accompany you in the Reichad system in the role of bodyguard, and to protect you at all costs until your life functions cease, but only within the limits of the Reichad system. You're Hanuman. Glad you're alive. The governor raises his eyebrow and stares at the tech priest in surprise, but refrains from further commentary. Okay. Why not shell the monastery if that's where the insurgents have gathered? There are pretty good reasons not to do that thing. The Cenobium has been run by the Adeptus Mechanicus ever since the colony was founded. The sacred reactor guarded by its priests powers the entire planet. I can say no more. It is a forbidden place that even I have only been allowed to visit once before. That's interesting. So why not shell the monastery if that's where the local insurgents are gathering, or deploy a landing force? No, fulfilling this request puts the monastery in danger of major destruction. The consequences of this decision for the world of Reichad Minoris could be catastrophic. Okay, what if we... So we kind of just... All right, you know what? Let me redirect a little bit here. Pascal, what is so special about the Cenobium and the relic? What is in there that has drawn the attention of an interrogator of the Inquisition? I have never been there before, but I would presume that the sacred relic of the reactor is capable of great destruction should it end up in heretic hands. The fury of the freed machine spirits, once released from the sacred circuit, will destroy everything around them. The degree of damage inflicted may render the world of Reichad Minoris uninhabitable. Heresy must be purged from those blessed halls. I declare any desecrator who defiles the relic's power a Category 3 blasphemer, deserving of immediate execution. Okay, what has perplexed you about my companion's name? The governor looks at Pascal with curiosity. Oh, well, according to the reports we've received, Logis Abel Hanuman set off for the hallowed electrodynamic Cenobium a short while before it was stormed. I'm glad to find out that you're safe. Perhaps you possess information on Master Van Kalox. Pascal's voice rasps in confusion. My name is Pascal Hanuman, not Abel. I know nothing about such a person. What do you know about this Abel, Governor? Well, I've never met him in person. That esteemed Logis supervised the work of Reichad Minoris' Lex mechanics for many years. However, he rarely left his cyber chapel, and I never had the honor of making his acquaintance. A true anchorite. I get what you're saying, but like... Alright, never mind. I'm not going to critique their behavior according to my standards of living. It does not make sense. So why did he fly to the monastery? That seems suspicious. When a locus of the Adeptus Mechanicus wants to go somewhere, we don't ask why, your ladyship. Yeah, that's fair. I see. Governor Medina, I intend to gather further information on the person calling himself Abel Hanuman. I do not exclude the possibility of it being an alias of my mentor, the Archmagus Amarnot. I would suggest that you inspect the esteemed Logis' sanctum, but it was destroyed by the rebels. We recovered several data crypts and connected them to the cogitators at the command post. They might provide you with some information. Hopefully they'll be more helpful than you have been. I did want to make sure that I mentioned Sergeant Malagar. He and his soldiers valiantly defended the starport. The sergeant, who managed to impress a person of such noble standing, will be recommended for decoration. Well, I don't think he's alive anymore. So, is there anything else I can do on this planet or in this system while I wait for the end of the revolt? Well, if you'd like a distraction, a smaller and safer uprising to suppress at your leisure, there is a planetoid in my system called Reicati Philia. It hosts a prison colony whose inmates rebelled at the same time as the heretics on the planet. It's an all-round preposterous situation. It should have only taken us a couple of orbital shots to take care of them, but the governor slightly purses his lips. Purses his lips. He does not just pierce his lips sitting right in front of me mid-conversation. Yvain Winterscale went there. He's a relative of my suzerain, the great rogue trader Caligos Winterscale, the master of this system, and a dozen others. I imagine the young Lord Winterscale is very eager to prove himself to his distinguished kinsman. I see no reason for you not to join him. It's a small planetoid, the prisoners' numbers are few, and they have little in the way of weapons. It's more of a sport for noble lords and ladies than a real rebellion. Yvain, Abelard mutters, stroking his beard. One of his distant younger offspring, yes. That's as much as I know about him, which means he hasn't distinguished himself in any meaningful way. All right, well, I think maybe that's all I wanted to discuss. Oh, hey, look who it is. Well, it turns out the Adeptus Arbites is assuming command of this area. The arbitrator marches forward relentlessly and halts one step away from the governor, looking down at him. Governor Medina, in the name of the Lex Imperialis, I, Proctor Solomon Anthar, arrest you on suspicion of involvement in the theft of the shipment of the Imperial tithe. Taking into account the state of emergency on this planet, I will permit you to retain your authority under my direct supervision. From this time forth, you will give the Adeptus Arbites your full cooperation, in particular by transferring command of the strike groups and other resources to me. Medina, though deathly pale, proudly raises his chin. Arrest me? Transfer my resources? Your demands undermine my efforts to suppress the rebellion. Excuse me, Proctor, but this accusation of stealing the sacred tithe is simply... He stops talking under the arbitrator's oppressive, merciless gaze. Denying guilt only adds to the suspicions against you, Governor. Now, let us go over everything one more time. The tithe was stolen from your world. You are culpable for this incident, whether you were personally involved or not. You will provide the resources I have requested without objection, as this measure serves to re-establish control over the planet. Comply, or I will consider your refusal an obstruction of the investigation and take steps accordingly. It seems I am left with no other option than to obey your will. As his law-abiding servant, I honor the word of the Lex Imperialis. Medina shoots you a quick glance. Unless her ladyship has anything other to say on the matter, that is. Well, say this world belongs to Winterscale. Do the Adeptus Arbites truly have the authority to interfere? So option 1 is telling the dog folks to fuck off. Option 3 is telling the governor to fuck off. I guess this top option is like a little bit less harsh toward the Arbites than I'm painting it as there. You know what, let's at least ask the question. This world belongs to Winterscale. Do the Adeptus Arbites truly have the authority to interfere in the rule of governors appointed by a rogue trader? We do. Besides, I doubt rogue trader Winterscale will find it disagreeable that the arbitrators have helped to clean up this madness. As for the governor, I imagine the Emperor's appointed will benefit from learning how diligently his servant has been performing his duties. Yeah. I suppose there's nothing else for it. What is this? I think that's what I want to say here. I'm a little worried that this is going to be interpreted as me saying, obviously the you guys are out of control and we're going to have to do something about it. I want it to read as, okay, it seems like you're in charge and there's nothing either of us can do, so that's how it's going to be. Fingers crossed. The governor puts his hands behind his back, either to appear more confident or to hide the tremor in his fingers. In that case, please accommodate yourself, Proctor. But before I give you the access codes, I must Hulk out and turn into a demon. Hulk out and turn into a demon. Give a protracted self-exonerating statement? There's no need. All information required of you will be obtained during questioning, without witnesses, be it your personal guard or the rogue trader. Just you, me, and Glyto. The cyber mastiff lets out a heavy growl that sends a shiver down your spine. So what is your plan, Proctor? We stop the heretics from taking over the starport and other locations critical to the investigation. At the same time, we will crush the heretics' resistance. Most of them are hiding among the commoners, and a series of concentrated strikes against the residential districts and infirmaries will send them running. And that is when we'll finish off the rebel carrion. That's going to send a lot of people running, most of whom are not guilty, right? Blood of the throne. I'll be governing over nothing but ruins and corpses by the time you're done. Have faith in my methods, Governor. I am not going to depopulate your world. After all, it needs to be able to continue paying the tithe. Indeed. Hey, why do you think the rebels are hiding among the civilians? They could have shelters elsewhere. Well, I know this from a few intercepted Vox exchanges and a couple of scumbags we've interrogated. But first and foremost, I know from experience. Such mutinous rabble always feeds off its families and associates, who also provide a source of recruits to support its ranks. And, of course, there is the heretics' contemptible habit of using the local population as a shield. We need to flush them out of their nests and starve them of resources. Okay. So it's obvious that the developers have decided that Iconoclast is going to be the morally right, we think players will feel most comfortable with this path option in most things, right? Unless you're playing a character where you have intentionally decided to be insanely evil and pick dogmatic stuff. But even so, this is a little... I'm trying to be very careful what word I use here. It's just a little soft, I think, for the setting. The idea of a person high up in the governmental structure in 40K saying, oh, well, killing innocents is totally unacceptable. It's like... that would sound insane. Yeah, that would sound insane. Killing innocents is unacceptable, even for the sake of saving a world. It's like a crazy thing to say, contextually. Even though it is obviously like the only sensible thing here to say from our perspective. I recommend not taking civilian casualties into account. These people are in need of a good lesson in pain and fear. Yeah, dogmatic and heretical are the same thing. And while I do think that that's cute, and it's not the first time we've seen them do that, where heretical and dogmatic are essentially saying the same thing, I do think that it's a little bit problematic within the bounds of the mechanical structure they've set up, because one of these things, they should actually be different, because one of them generates points for one meter and the other one generates points for the other meter, and if they are the same statement like this, then both of them should either generate points for both meters or neither, really, right? I do hate that they've given us no like sensible ground, no ground that's like, hey, listen, mathematically, we've taken a bunch of soldiers and they've sent a bunch of soldiers out, and like, there's just not that many people left, and we need to maybe be careful with them so that we can keep paying the tithe. Especially since that's a concern that he's already admitted to being vulnerable to. Because this killing innocents is unacceptable is like so far off the line. I guess I'm gonna say it because I think it's closer to the thing that our character should say, that a character with those morals, but who is in this position, would say. But it's still like, it's really bad. The arbitrator's voice rings with steel. Aversion to collateral damage is a weakness that heretics exploit to the fullest. While you stand here pitying and hesitating, the enemy is busy fortifying their positions and replenishing their losses. Stalling, dictated by mercy, only magnifies the damage the world will suffer. I do wonder though, like maybe I don't know exactly how the game's dialogue systems work. Maybe there are more dialogue options that I'm just not seeing because like my intelligence is not high enough or something. So you're just going to sit the whole thing out in this bunker. Now I'm annoyed. He's probed at my pride a little bit here. Yes, this is far from what I was expecting from this assignment. The things we do for the mission. Well, I guess I wish you luck in your investigation, Proctor, given that I am unable to say anything else at this time. And I guess that's us. All right, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and call the episode here. Thank you all so much for watching. What a weird. I guess it's a little bit much to say. I was about to say what a weird anticlimactic moment at the end of that scenario, but we don't know for sure that we've seen the climax here yet. It could be that there is something yet to come. So I guess come back next time to see if in fact there is. And we'll see you then.